Hi again guys, welcome to yet another exciting video, and this time we have reached a very interesting topic of the English grammar, collective nouns. This shall be the last topic on nouns in part of speech. Saya, Sazali, sekali lagi akan menjadi learning host anda dalam topik ini. Kalau dalam bahasa Melayu, kita ada penjodoh bilangan. Collective nouns juga menggunakan konsep yang sama. Some collective nouns are to be expected, some interesting, and some will raise a lot of curiosity, as we shall see. Collective nouns are used to describe groups of people, animals, or things, and they are treated as singular nouns. Let's delve into this topic. We start with the more common ones like a bunch of flowers, a stack of books, or a hive of bees. However, if we look at more things, especially animals, it gets more interesting. For example, we can say an army of ants, or frogs, or even an army of caterpillars. Now that will conjure pictures of discipline, strategy, and teamwork, right? Okay, let's make it interesting. I would like for you to guess the collective nouns for the animals I'm going to mention. And if you need it, you can always pause the video and guess the answers before I mention it and see how many you get right. Let's start with crocodiles. That's right. Crocodiles are referred to as a busk of crocodiles. This is not to be mistaken with buskers, you know. But it's a great way to remember the collective noun for crocodiles, right? We know how crocodiles love to bask under the hot sun. Do you know of any other alternative collective nouns for crocodiles? Maybe some of you have guessed it? That's right. We can also use a congregation of crocodiles. That's right, a congregation, believe it or not. Yes, kalau dalam bahasa Melayu, satu jemaah buaya, congregation. Whatever it is, they are super dangerous animals. And if they are in waters, you can also say a float of crocodiles. How interesting. Next time you order root beer with float, you will have a very interesting picture in your mind surely. Now how about baboons? How do you describe them? That's right, a congress of baboons. Don't ask me how baboons and politicians are similar, but that's how the English language puts it, especially Americans. Ini menarik kan? Sebab itu yang saya mention dulu, bahasa Inggeris ini menarik. And talking of monkeys, how do you describe a group of monkeys? Yes, that's right. You can say a troop of monkeys, just like a troop of soldiers. And even similarly, we can use the same term for elephants. You know, a troop of elephants. Wait, it gets more interesting. You could also say a barrel or a cartload, or a troop or a tribe of monkeys. So these are all the different alternatives of collective nouns you can use for monkeys. So some animals have different ways to describe them or alternative terms to use in a collective noun. Another interesting one that I'm sure you want to know is a mechanician of monkeys. That's right, a mechanician. And the one that takes the cake is a shrewdness of apes. I guess this is because apes and monkeys are well known to be shrewd animals. Wow! Try to translate that into Bahasa Malaysia directly, I'm sure you'll have a good laugh. Ya, contohnya, se-kongres baboon. Can you imagine that? That's just too funny. Sorry guys, can't resist the temptation there. Okay, next. Birds also have very interesting description in the collective nouns. Now let's see if you know what a group of sparrows is called. Yes, a host of sparrows. Or how about owls? Very interesting. A parliament of owls. I guess this term is used because sometimes parliament sessions can last into the wee hours of the night. And equally refreshing, a convocation of eagles. That's right, a convocation of eagles. How about falcons? Yes, a cast of falcons. And that goes the same for hawks too, a cast of hawks. You know, just like in the movies, you have a cast of characters. And more interestingly, when they are migrating, they are called a cauldron or a kettle or falcons or hawks. Interestingly, the beautiful nightingales are called a watch of nightingales. whereas the unpopular crows are called, can you guess it? Yes, a murder of crows. Maybe because they like to go through garbage cans and in general quite a nuisance to human beings perhaps? I don't know. I don't know who coined these stimulating terms, but it's just how it is. Okay, do you know what a group of ravens are called? Very mysterious. An unkindness of ravens. And to contrast that to the charming group of flamingos referred to as a pet or a stand of flamingos. Equally amusing, at least to non-native speakers of the English language, is a group of parrots is called pandemonium of parrots. And a group of swans is called a lamentation of swans. And pigeons are called a kit of pigeons. And not only that, some groups of birds are called differently in certain locations. For example, in flight, a group of geese will be called a flight, or a skin, or a team, or a wedge of geese. While on land, they are called a flock, a gaggle, or a plump of geese. In the same way, groups of ducks are aptly called a flock, or a herd of ducks when they are on land. While in the waters, they are called a bunch, or a paddling, or a raft of ducks. And in flight, they can be called a string, a skin, or a team of ducks. Snakes also receive very charismatic descriptions in the collective noun. In general, a group of snakes is called a nest, or a knot, or a den, or a pit, or a bed of snakes. Ugh, scary. A den of vipers just paints a very scary mental picture, right? Rattlesnakes has a very curious name when they are called a Roomba of rattlesnakes. Maybe they do a bit of that unique dance with their little tails, who knows why. Equally amusing are cobras. In a group, they are called a quiver of cobras. Ugh, that just sends shivers down my spines if you ask me. Ugh! Actually, in nature, that's not normal because snakes, especially in their adult lives, are lonely, shy, and individualistic creatures. Let's see some other animals with more intriguing collective nouns. For example, do you know what stingrays are referred to in groups? Yes, they are called a fever of stingrays. You'll know why if you ever get stung by one of these sea monsters, At least you'll get a fever. In addition, we also see more unique collective nouns like a destruction of wildcats, while the cats in your house is just called a clouder or a cluster of cats. Or how about a mob of emus, a caravan of camels? Very interesting, a conspiracy of, Yeah, a conspiracy of lemurs. How about lions? You know what lions are called? Yeah, they are called a pride of lions. Well, that's somewhat expected because lions do produce that proud look most of the time, Or how about jaguars? They're called a shadow of jaguars. And do you know what leopards are called? Yes, a leap of leopards. How about sharks? A shiver of sharks. And skunks? Well, a stench of skunks. That's very expected. And equally expected is a prickle of porcupines. And how about buffaloes? Do you know what buffaloes are called? Well, the general terms that we normally hear is a herd of buffaloes, but alternatively, to make it more interesting, you can also say an obstinacy of buffaloes. And more interesting, how about hippopotamus? Yes, a thunder of hippopotamus. And there's a very interesting animal called gnus, They are called an impossibility of gnus. And how about tigers? Tigers like to attack and they like to ambush, So they are called an ambush of tigers. They are also called a streak of tigers. Oh, that's scary. And wolves are called a pack of wolves. And giant pandas, a sleuth of giant pandas. And gorillas can also be called a whoop or a troop or even a band of gorillas. And it gets more unique with rhinoceros because they are called a crash of rhinoceros. And that's simply outstanding in terms of description, and certainly one that you will remember. In addition, if you want to refer to a group of octopus, you can say a consortium of octopus. Now that's really interesting. Or a horde of hamsters. And have you heard of a bale of turtles? A scourge of mosquitoes? And how about this? A slaughter of iguanas. And the list goes on. With bears, for example, they are called a sloth of bears. And here's another interesting one. How about a tower of, do you know? Yeah, a tower of giraffes. A gang of elks. And you know what pigs are called in a group? Yeah, they're called a team or a sounder of pigs. Maybe because they make that funny sounds. I don't know. And lambs are referred to as a fall of lambs. And how about cockroaches? Do you know what they're called? Very, very aptly called an intrusion of cockroaches. Now that's appropriate because nobody wants cockroaches, right? They just intrude. No one welcomes them, right? Two more interesting groups are cloud of, do you know what? Yeah, cloud of grasshoppers. And you know what bacteria are called in groups? They're called a culture of bacteria. Now, all this will make a flock of sheep or ostrich, a litter of kittens, a colony of frogs, a brood of hens, a catch of fish, or a herd of deer sound very plain, right? And horses also receive very special treatment in this topic. In general, they are referred to as stable of horses, also a team or a stud of horses. But in the wilderness, they are either called a band or a herd of wild horses. In the racetracks, they are called a field of race horses. In the farms, they are called a team of workhorses. And by the way, do you know what a group of ponies called? Yes, they are called a string of ponies. And speaking of horses, their cousin zebras are called, you know what? That's right, a cohort, or a zeal, or a dazzle of zebras. If you see them live, especially in the wilderness of Africa, I'm sure we'll be seeing a dazzling scene that is just difficult to describe with words. Generally, collective nouns take a singular verb because they are singular in construction. In the advanced level, you also learn how they can also take plural verbs, but in this unit, we'll focus on using them as a singular noun. Let's really understand this first because the plural form can be confusing even for native speakers. Okay, for example, in a sentence, you can say a herd of buffaloes was seen crossing the road yesterday. Or we saw a flock of birds flying south yesterday in a V formation. Kadang-kadang ada pelajar yang keliru menggunakan plural kerana memikirkan bilangan burung ataupun kerbau yang banyak, jadi menggunakan plural form. Sebagai contoh, I saw the herd of buffaloes were crossing, or I saw a herd of buffaloes were crossing the road yesterday. Ya, patutnya was crossing. Di sini formulanya sangat mudah kerana apabila kita menggunakan collective noun, kita hanya perlu ingat semua kata nama akan menjadi singular. Jadi kita hanya perlu menggunakan kata kerja ataupun singular verb sahaja. Knowing to use the right collective nouns make your writing or even conversation sound more sophisticated and shows you are a more advanced learner of the English language. In writing compositions, usage of the right forms will score you more points, separating the A students from the A+. You just have an added advantage over other students, provided other grammatical points are correct, needless to say. There are so many more interesting collective nouns. The list is quite long, and these are just for animals, you know. You can make more references on the internet as well as in your books. The only way to remember them is to memorize them, as there are no specific formulas to use. Of course, some do share the same collective nouns like an army of ants, or an army of caterpillars, or an army of frogs, for example. Similarly, you can also use a herd of asses, or donkeys, elephants, bisons, rabbits, dugongs, kangaroos, or even dinosaurs. I'm sure you can spot some of them in this video. And some of them have several terms, like in the case of kangaroos, you can also use a cohort of kangaroos other than a herd or a troop or even a mob of kangaroos. Now that sounds like a group of angry kangaroos, right? Very curious indeed. Well, I guess you have to go to Australia to find that out. Anything is possible when it comes to animals, you know. I think one of the best ways to memorize is to visualize them vividly, as I have illustrated here. The more unusual the mental imagery, the easier it is for you to remember. Use your own imagination and make them stick in your mind so that you have the confidence to use them when you need them. I'm sure you can go wild in your brains to create these crazy pictures, right? In addition, using them in conversations also help you memorize them. Creating stories to connect them is also another way to help you remember the right terms to use. Okay, thank you guys for watching. I hope you find this video very interesting, and I hope to see you in the next exciting video. And if you like this video, please check like and subscribe to this channel, put your comments below, and share the video. And remember to hit the bell icon so that you get notified of my upcoming videos, inshallah. Thank you and goodbye for now.